Welcome back to another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Tucker.
Yeah. And I was trying to think about like what would be a good topic of conversation because there's so many aspects of media that I've been considering, and I think lately the thing that's starting to bug me is the disintegration of a television arc where it hits like the 75% mark and you're like, "Oh no. This is going to end so badly, but there's only 3 episodes left, and I have to see if my fears are confirmed."
Makes sense. Makes sense. I feel like isn't that just how arcs, that's just the nature of an arc, right? I mean, it sounds like you just described the progression of stories.
You have a point. You really do have a point. But it's not even like oh cool, I'm so curious to see where this goes. Is this really how we're going to round things out?
Questioning the narrative itself.
Yes.
Why did you choose to end it the way that you did?
Because like we've been watching Fena Pirate Princess.
Okay.
And it was great. Super great setup. But you would think by something called Pirate Princess there would be like more pirates. And they kill off like all the pirates halfway through, and I'm like, she's with like these knights that aren't pirates. And we've killed off the pirates, and now we're going to Eden. But it's also like the Library of Alexandria, and it's got the Ark and the Ark of the Covenant. And
what?
Yeah, no.
I'm not following a word you're saying.
We were watching it and we were barely following what was happening.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and it's a shame because they had some like good meta references. Like we had these scenes and there were like 3 other characters that weren't in the scene. They were just kind of off doing their own thing. And it cuts to them and they're like, "We haven't had a lot of scenes in a while. Yeah, you should say something before they cut away from us again." So there's this understanding of storytelling meta. Like some of the characters recognized they were in a show, but not enough to talk about it all the time.
Uh-huh.
And then we've got this pseudo-religious ending that we're just like, oh no, all of this goodwill you had banked the whole time is just gone.
Okay. Sure.
And I would rather have that level of investment be lost after like 10, 20-minute episodes.
Okay.
There's some shows that I've watched reviews of the cataclysm of their ending, and I'm like, I am so glad I wasn't on the hook for that the whole time. Like,
relatable.
Supernatural. Oh no, if I were watching Supernatural religiously, I'd be big mad.
How'd that one end?
So you have like Dean and Castiel, right? Dean's demon hunter, he's a Winchester, and then you have Castiel, who's an angel. There's like this whole sexual tension the whole time, where the writers kiss right up on the edge of confirming that they're a couple, that they're gay for each other, but they've never confirmed anything. But the instant Castiel is like, "I love you," they send him to like super hell. And I think that's it. Like, they don't get another scene together again.
Okay.
And it was because part of it is, on the one hand, that shouldn't matter. But the fact that they treated the audience in such a way that it's like, oh, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Just keep watching. 12, 13, 14, 15 more seasons, and we'll definitely confirm it. And the writing would often openly make fun of the viewers as well. So the fact that the viewers were still watching at that point, and they're like, here's the one thing we're going to hold over your heads the whole time. And then they're like, nope.
And Tumblr explodes.
It did. Because a lot of people found out because of something to do with Putin. I forget what. It was a weird day. I like finding out about Tumblr drama on other social media sites.
I mean, that's
like,
really how
that's
everyone
the
experiences
internet.
Tumblr at this point.
People experience Reddit through YouTube, Twitter through Facebook, Tumblr through everything else.
Yeah, no, that's it. You got it. You cracked the code. The Matrix is falling apart.
Oh no. Wait, no, stop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess if you're writing a show that has such a dedicated fandom, that's a good question. Do you have the responsibility to cater to fan service? Like, think about when I don't know what the current hotness is on Tumblr. I'm not in middle school anymore. So what is, and after they banned porn, that website just dove off a cliff. Dumbest thing Yahoo ever did. Dumbest thing OnlyFans almost did. I mean, it moves so much money. Why are you... Anyway, okay. I don't know what the current hotness is, but back in the day, it was Supernatural, Sherlock, Doctor Who, and at some point, you have to... I guess you have to kind of capitulate to the masses in a way, instead of just giving a big middle finger, because you have these fiercely, frighteningly dedicated fans, right? Fandom, the word fandom, I think, doesn't even do it justice.
Oh no,
it's a little frightening and freaky, but
it's extremely frightening.
Yeah, and it's... do you have a responsibility to them?
I go back and forth on that.
Okay.
Because I think it depends on the scale. Because, like, on the level of YouTubers or solo artists, I definitely don't think they owe their audience anything. Like authors. I don't think authors of books owe the readers anything. But if you're running a show where there are multiple people whose jobs depend on the show's continued success, and there are actors who are sometimes threatened by the fans based on how the show's writing portrays them, I think showrunners at the very least have to be mindful. But I also don't know if they owe the viewers anything.
Okay, so I think you accidentally answered two questions. One of them, you don't owe the viewers anything. I agree. You know, if you're responding mid-show to something that's happening in the fandom, then that's kind of... it's a little bit of a sellout move, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, poking fun at it's one thing, but I don't know. I think actually capitulating to it is quite another. But then you bring up another interesting point in which the frightening masses of these fandoms, right? Like the Supernatural fandom probably could have brought down ISIS. I'm sure there were a lot of consistent bad guys in this. People get so into the show that these bad guys, like, they're seen as bad guys even out of character.
Yes.
And that is not the fault of the show at all.
Oh no. No.
That's the fault of brainless idiots who can't divorce the show from reality.
Yes. 'Cause I've watched a couple things like about Sherlock, and when they introduced the character of Mary Watson, people were livid. Like harassing the actress constantly. Oh, what else? I watched a whole thing about fandom and just how awful it is. 'Cause they they just go insane. Like there were some people, and shipping is a whole other thing, but some people argued with a straight face that if you enjoyed the pairing of Zuko and Katara from Avatar, you were in favor of colonialism.
I don't know, that would have been kind of hot. I don't see. I have to think about how that like
colonialist, is, but that kind of works, right?
How do you derive? I don't know how you can get from colonialism to Zuko and Katara. That doesn't fully track.
Well, because the Fire Nation are obviously an imperialist nation, and the Water Tribe is an oppressed people. And
okay.
Two people definitely represent their entire nation and people group on their own as individuals. And the values of an entire society and country all manifest in a single person.
Exactly. No, yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
Oh, you brought up something else. Wasn't shipping, although shipping is, yeah, that's, I don't know. You sell that all the time. Sherlock X Moriarty.
Oh, so much.
And I get some shows when they do it themselves, but I feel like those are more short form shows. Like I'm thinking of the second season of actually the second season of both Master of None and Fleabag.
Ooh.
Right, you want the two people to end up together, right? Mm-hmm. You want Fleabag to end up with Hot Priest. Right. You want whatever the Italian lady was to end up with Dev, right? Like it's that I feel like that's not the same level of shipping as is, a whole bunch of different color pencil drawings of the characters from Harry Potter fucking each other.
Yeah. No, Sarah Zed and Princess Weeks, they both have videos on shipping because there was this whole thing on pro and anti, and I can't get into all of it currently, but you say one thing and they immediately extrapolate that you're like in favor of like child abuse or that you enjoy racism, and it's just these two characters, and I just think they should kiss sometimes. It doesn't mean anything. It's not real.
Yeah, I learned today that I'm a colonialist. Huh.
Huh.
Oh well. Good thing I live in America. But the frightening fandoms shouldn't cater to their right. And it's probably better if you have a show that you know where it's going at all times.
Yes. Like
it's not like you have to make it up as you go along every season. Something like Supernatural, I cannot imagine they had a however many seasons was like 15, a 15 season long arc in mind.
No, they definitely had 5.
Okay.
Because that was where they thought it was going to end. And then the CW was like, we're making so much money from these teenage girls who are just learning what it means to be horny for the first time. We have to keep going.
Yep.
And so then, 2 decades later, here we are.
Shows that run too long.
And there's so many.
But it kind of takes away from the integrity of the narrative because you're stretching it so thin and just making shit up.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about that today too, is how many times can a story actually be told? Because we've got the new Batman movie, right? Matt Reeves' Batman, which does look really cool. How many times can we tell the story of Batman and have people still turn out for it?
Well, the story is different every time, a little bit, right? There's different angles. Even, I'm not super familiar with the source comics, but there's a whole lot to Batman, both that people making Batman movies, media in general, either add in or leave out. And I think there are some combinations of what you can add in and leave out that would make it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about what The Dark Knight did so well and what the DC cinematic universe did so poorly with Batman. They're both retellings of the same character, but it clearly one's better than the other. And retellings that are better than the DC version are definitely possible ad infinitum.
True. Interesting that you say the DC the DCEU Batman is poorly handled, because all the time, and it may just be that this is the vocal part, there's so many people who are like, Ben Affleck should have gotten more chances as Batman.
I do feel like, yeah. Did he ever have a standalone Batman film?
He did not. I think they tossed the idea around, but then either because of scheduling or personal reasons, it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and I think I'm so in love with The Dark Knight that there will never be a Batman that holds a candle to the Dark Knight. And it's, yeah, like I'm trying to think back, like I think the only film that I've seen all the way through was Batman versus Superman. I've seen clips and pieces of the others. And I agree. I think Affleck probably could have used a couple more chances at doing Batman well, but I think he wasn't the character he was given. He probably couldn't do a whole lot with.
I could
like
see that.
his Bruce Wayne was so. It was just so cut down because he didn't have a lot of. He didn't have anything standalone. He was part of the Justice League. He wasn't Batman.
Yeah.
He was fighting Superman, this god. He wasn't Batman.
Yeah. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, like, what Batman have I seen? I think the only Batman movie I've seen from start to finish is the Lego Batman movie.
Ooh. And that's probably not really tight to Batman canon.
No, but it's good. Will Arnett, I think, is a great Batman, and Zach Galifianakis is a good Joker. I will say, I think taking the Riddler and turning him into like a John Doe from Seven Jigsaw type, really good decision. I'm just so excited to see Paul Dano do that.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to see that as well.
I think Robert Pattinson is this feral, dirty dirty Batman. Exactly what the world needs.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I'm not sure if anything can be better than The Dark Knight, but I'll bet you this one will come close.
I think so.
I just for some reason I feel it. It seems like maybe that's a trend that things are going towards. We want grittier superheroes. Like I can't think of a better word than
which
grittier.
Is kind of a repeat of the early 2000s.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Because that's where they tried to do everything darker.
Kinda.
I am curious what you think, though. I was thinking the other day that media in general is getting better just because the people that are writing now, like the quality of what we're growing up watching is good. So what we have the potential to write based on what we watch can be even better than that.
Yeah, it makes sense. You have a larger, stronger foundation from which to build upon. Yeah,
because I was reading a book, and it was young adult fiction, which is extremely hit or miss. Because when you have a market that is so emotionally driven, once they latch onto it, they go wild. And so when I read it, I'm like, oh no, this is actually good. I'm like, it's good the author put in the work, but the author also had a really strong foundation to go from.
Yeah.
And that excites me. Because sometimes I think it's really easy to get cynical about like, well, it's all remakes, it's all this, that, or the other. But I'm like, no, there is some stuff that's getting better.
Yeah.
And I think
it really isn't all remakes. I think that's a very dumb thing to say.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like the number of remakes and reboots. Granted, there are a lot, but there is certainly no shortage of original content.
Mm-hmm.
Or content that's like so vaguely based on something else that it's not a reboot, or is put in the same universe but is a different story entirely.
Mm-hmm.
And while it may still suck, looking at you, Fantastic Beasts, it is still, not a reboot. And there's so much of this, and I don't think things that take place in the same universe count as a reboot. Do they? Reboot, whatever. Fantastic Beasts is not a reboot. Subsequent Marvel movies are not a reboot, even if they change even if they bring back a different Iron Man. Well, maybe that one. How would you feel if they replaced Robert Downey Jr.? Would that be a reboot of just the character, maybe not the movie? Because at this point, characters are smeared across the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we're also dealing with multiverses.
That is the sticky thing at this point, because where is it a reboot versus just a continuation of the character we've just recast it? Like, because they didn't reboot Iron Man's best friend when they replaced Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle. That wasn't a reboot of the character.
That was just a recast.
But also that character doesn't get solo films.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. The MCU as a whole just makes it such a sticky concept.
I guess
it depends on if they recast Tony Stark versus finding someone else to be Iron Man.
Okay, new question. I think it's in like maybe 3 or 4 separate movies now. Pepper Potts has worn the iron suit. Don Cheadle is the War Machine. They are just a breath away from being Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be considered a reboot if they were suddenly painted red and gold?
I think I would have a hard time calling it a reboot.
Okay. Interesting.
Because it is like the Batman movies. Is Matt Reeves' Batman a reboot of Batman? Or is that just Matt Reeves' take on Batman?
Yeah.
Is it a length of time? Because like
No.
Ghostbusters, 2016 Ghostbusters, that was intended to be like a reboot of Ghostbusters, versus Ghostbusters Afterlife that's coming out like in a year or two. That's like a sequel, I guess.
Maybe it's a reboot if the events from the thing that you're rebooting haven't taken place. This 2016 Ghostbusters existed in a universe where the first one didn't happen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that's what makes that. If the 2016 Ghostbusters was, say, recognized that the original Ghostbusters happened in the same timeline, then maybe that wouldn't be a reboot. It'd be closer to a sequel.
Sequel or spinoff, yeah.
Maybe a spinoff, but they'd be like, oh, there used to be a Ghostbusters, and they solved this problem, and we're having this problem again. Maybe we should become the Ghostbusters. What are we? Yeah. Some sort of Ghostbusters 2016? Similarly, I don't think the new Suicide Squad coming out is a reboot of the bad Suicide Squad, because I don't think the new one is going to recognize that the old one happened in that timeline, in that universe.
No, there just isn't. Like, there's only the one Suicide Squad movie. James Gunn's the only director of Suicide Squad.
Did he make the old one? The first one?
No.
Oh, it's because I'm saying the Suicide Squad and Suicide Squad. You know what? Okay. All right. All right.
I was refusing to acknowledge the David Ayers Suicide Squad.
That's totally fine. That's what you should be doing.
The James Gunn one was really good. Like,
I have yet to see it.
It's all right. Like, I could definitely see DC like reading all of the controversy with the Disney stuff, and they're like, wow, you know what he should do? He should direct Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Because his really dark sense of humor works so well. Like, we're introduced to the Weasel, and all we know about him when we meet him is he, like, kidnapped and ate children. And that's just the introduction to him. Hey. The violence was very well done. And I think if you really liked Guardians of the Galaxy, you'll like his version of Suicide Squad, which is kind of just an R-rated Guardians of the Galaxy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. But so I think we found what makes, for lack of a better word, sequel versus reboot.
Yes.
A sequel has to be forward in the same timeline. A reboot is starting from scratch.
Yes.
Can you think that last sentence might have been a little controversial? Because I feel like counterexamples exist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of a counterexample of a reboot in which the prior events of what it's rebooting have still occurred, but it still feels like a reboot.
Ooh. Probably Men in Black International. Because that's the fourth Men in Black movie. It doesn't feature Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm.
But Emma Thompson's character is still there because she was in the third Men in Black movie. Her character took over from Rip Torn's character.
Right. Okay.
And so Men in Black International, different cast apart from Emma Thompson. But I think they wanted it to rejuvenate the franchise and let them keep going.
But wouldn't that still then be a sequel? Everything in the first three that happened, you called it Men in Black 4, and it has some continuity. Are any of the aliens the same?
I think they come up with different aliens every time. Because, like, to me, one of the protagonists from the previous thing should still be the protagonist for it to be a sequel.
Oh, interesting.
But then that gets sticky when I think about stuff like Star Wars.
Those are definitely sequels.
Yes.
The main characters.
They keep becoming sequels because everything keeps tying back to the Skywalkers somehow.
Well, yes. I mean, yeah. That's what makes it a sequel. The fact that it has continuity in that universe.
Yes.
Okay. Imagine trying to reboot Star Wars from scratch. Yeah, no.
What do you mean we can't have a Skywalker and a Death Star? That's what else is there?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I still think Men in Black International would count as a sequel, even though there's not a whole lot of continuity. It's set in the same universe, and does it recognize that the prior events occurred? That Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones existed? Or anything they did existed?
Now that I'm not sure of, because I didn't watch Men in Black International because I wasn't sure what they were trying to do with it. Men in Black International. Because, yeah, I wasn't sure if Tessa Thompson's character was supposed to be... Oh, it's in a different setting. They're in the London branch.
Oh. Oh, no.
They're not in New York.
Oh, no. Oh, dear. Okay. All right, let's think this through. We're in too deep to give up now. It's on the other side of the world. unless they acknowledge, I guess maybe they don't even have to acknowledge. It can be assumed on some level, perhaps, that this takes place in the same world the first 3 did.
Yes.
They don't even have to say it out loud.
True. Because from the plot, it looks like the main character, Tessa Thompson's character, in 1996 Brooklyn, she witnesses her parents being neuralized. So if her parents were neuralized, there are definitely other agents besides Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Of course.
But if they're meant to look like them, definitely in the same context. And then I think that would make it a spinoff. Or a reboot. How much time does it take for something to be a reboot versus a spinoff?
I don't think that matters. Sequels can come at any point.
Oh, yeah. Bill and Ted Face the Music was like 20 years after the second one.
And you would call that a sequel?
Yes.
The events in the movie, or it existed in the same timeline after the others?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't think time between films, publications actually has any kind of meaning here. I think the only thing that matters is, does it exist in the same world? Did the events of the prior films happen? And I think in the case of Men in Black International, it would have to have, because the Men in Black exist. There is no massive deviation, as far as I know. There's no massive deviation in how it operates. It's on the other side of the world, so there is a possibility that the narratives never overlap. So you don't have to say that Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones exist in the universe. It's sort of implied.
Oh. Yeah. Because the only shared character they have in common is Emma Thompson's character.
And she runs the whole organization, so of course she's going to show up.
Exactly.
Yeah. That makes sense. I call it a sequel.
Sure. And
maybe this rule works then.
Yeah, because now I'm like, okay, what are the rule-breaking movies? Like, what? Because there have definitely been movies in recent years that are like, we're taking this concept. Because, let me see when it came out. Because my next question is Machete a sequel to Spy Kids?
Is it?
They're in the same universe.
Okay. I think I remember talking about this, but I haven't seen...
We talked about the shared universe aspect, yeah. That cast is bizarre.
Okay, well, this doesn't even apply, right? They're totally separate narratives set in the same universe. Similarly, Spider-Man Far From Home is not a sequel to Iron Man 3.
Ooh, see, now that ends up bringing up interesting things, because you have, like, Captain America's Civil War. But then, like, Avengers Infinity War.
What?
Wouldn't those be sequels?
To one sequel to the other?
Yeah.
Yes. There's a very clearly defined timeline.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at sequels... So I think, okay, so movie sequel, I feel like will draw a different tree than will universe timeline.
Yeah.
The universe timeline's always a straight line. Except in the case of multiverse, but I'm pretty sure all the Marvel movies that are coming to mind exist in the one universe.
For now.
Okay, but then, right, there are films. So you have Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, And then you have oh crap. You have the first Avengers film, and then Iron Man 3. In Iron Man 3, Tony's still really messed up from the events of the first Avengers film.
Yes.
So, on one hand, it recognizes the events in the prior film happened. Iron Man 1, 2, and the first Avengers film.
Yes.
It does not seem like a sequel to the Avengers film. It feels like a sequel to Iron Man 2.
Okay.
So I think the Iron Man films clearly have, and it's not like it's an acyclically directed graph, I think. It's a DAG. I can't believe I'm remembering these words. Right? So you have Iron Man 1, 2, 3. Then you have Captain America 1, Winter Soldier, maybe? And then the sequel to both of those, perhaps, maybe, I'm not sure, might be Civil War.
Yes.
I think they'll be allowed. You're allowed to join them, because it might be fair to say Infinity War and Endgame are sequels to a lot of films.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe they're not sequels to anything.
Because
I'm not sure anymore.
You could look at it as a funnel, right? All of these movies had to happen for Endgame to mean anything at all.
Yes.
And to me, that was like, if it's an hourglass. It all came down to this point.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people could cleanly exit. But if you want to keep going at this point, the hourglass is opening up again, and it's all spreading out again. Because we have all the TV shows, Eternals, new sequels. Because, like, I watched WandaVision, and I'll probably watch Thor Love and Thunder. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel obligated to keep up with things anymore. I think watching everything down to Endgame, you're like, yeah, I could watch all of this.
I feel like you could draw a sequel graph, but we don't have a firm definition of sequel anymore. Because before, our firm definition of sequel was recognizes the events leading up to it in prior films. Likewise, the definition of prequel is that films that come after it in the timeline recognize it.
Yes,
so in a way, Iron Man is a prequel for Iron Man 2, even though they came out in chronological order correctly.
I feel like prequels have to come out after the fact, though.
You're killing me. Okay. So, all right, forget prequels. I don't want to.
Another week.
Yeah, another week. Oh my God. Okay, so.
Yeah. So, okay, let's define sequel. So a sequel is a small shining disc or spangle used for ornamentation, as on women's clothing and accessories or on theatrical costumes.
Is that what the word sequin comes from?
No.
Is it something completely different?
I just looked up the definition of sequel to be dumb.
But it sounds so much like sequin.
No, I did look up the definition for like the clothing sequin.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for explaining the joke in vivid detail. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's because like it's one of those things where it helps if we have that established rapport beforehand, because like my brother, my sister, and I will do this thing where we'll say a word and then we'll say, isn't that, fill in the definition for something that sounds like that word. It's like, no, You're thinking of this, and it just keeps going. I thought
you were being serious. I thought they shared like a root word, and so sequel could mean like you were reading like the fifth definition down of sequel.
I mean, they both have seek, which could come from something.
Sequence. I actually don't know how sequin gets its like the etymology of sequence. I don't even know how to say it or spell it, to be honest. I don't think I've ever actually had to spell it. Sequins. Etymology. The name sequin originates from the Venetian colloquial noun zecchino, meaning Venetian ducat coin, rendered into French as sequin. Okay. All right, has nothing to do with sequel, which probably comes from sequence. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the root word sequ, S-E-Q-U, the Latin root means to follow. So in my mind, sequin falls under that because you have these tiny discs and you're just going to keep following those. You're going to build and assemble them.
Nah, it comes from Venetian. What does the word mean? It comes the coin. It's a coin.
Ah.
Yeah. So I think it's just unrelated because French is stupid.
Well, I am.
You can quote me on that. The French language, it sounds beautiful, but the way you spell things. Get help.
Absurd. It's so absurd. Because, like, some languages are intuitive. When I learned the Korean alphabet has the benefit of, like, a guy sat down and he's like, this is going to be the alphabet now. Mm-hmm. And so it's all very straightforward and a lot of it's phonetic. Then you have stuff like French that it's like, I don't know, throw more vowels in there. If you don't know what it is, you're inferior.
Exactly. Anyway, define sequel. We need to get to the bottom of this.
Yes. So the definition of sequel per dictionary.com is a literary work, movie, etc. that is complete in itself, but continues the narrative of a preceding work. So the interesting wrinkle they throw in is that is complete in itself. So a sequel should stand alone?
No. Okay.
Which, yes. I mean, that's fair. I'll watch Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest all day, every day.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't really need much of the prior universe to understand that one, but it also still recognizes and exists in the same timeline as the prior films. A complete standalone work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that I agree with that, but I'm struggling to think of counterexamples.
Because that is the tricky thing, because it can't... It's like dependent and independent clauses. A sequel just can't be a dependent clause. Like, complete action has to have happened over the course of the runtime.
Mm-hmm. It has to have its own story.
Yeah.
Is the 8th Harry Potter technically a sequel then? Because it relies heavily on the existence of the 7th. Well, maybe not completely.
And that one's...
Part 2.
Yeah, because from the movie perspective... Yeah, I would say 7 Part 1 is largely incomplete.
Yeah.
Per the definition of sequel.
Yeah. Oh, but my God.
Book...
Go on.
Splitting linguistic hairs.
This is brutal, but it's got to happen. We're doing important work here.
Yeah, so like from a movie perspective, Harry Potter 7 Part 1, I don't even remember what they were trying to do over the course of that, because it wasn't even that they got all the Horcruxes. It wasn't that they robbed the bank. No, because that was at the beginning of 7 Part 2.
Right. Dobby dies. They destroy a Horcrux? Maybe 2? No, just the one. Just the necklace. They get rid of... What are the others? They get rid of the Hufflepuff crown, the goblet in Bellatrix's vault, the snake, the diary. I think the ring was already destroyed.
Yeah, that
What?
was the whole bit with Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah. And then 7 makes the locket, and those were all the ones that they thought existed.
Yeah.
And then Harry's the mask, but
yeah, the whole thing for the first one is just getting the locket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. But it does still kind of stand alone. Where does it end?
It ends with them. They go to meet Luna Lovegood's dad.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, Deathly Hallows. It's great. If you have all of those, Death is like, I can't see him. And then he has Death Eaters come after them because he wants his daughter back. And so they're on the run again.
Right.
They end up at the Lestrange Manor. And yeah, Dobby dies.
And then Dobby dies.
Voldemort gets the wand.
Righto. Okay, yep, I remember that now.
That movie was so dark. There was not a single light turned on in that whole thing.
I'm pretty sure you could say that literally and it'd be true. Yeah, Harry Potter's got real dark real fast.
Yeah, that's such a thing that has irked me as of late, especially because so much of what I watch is on my laptop anymore. It's like, just light it.
Yeah.
Put on some lights.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was talking to my husband about it, and I'm like, I think that's why I can't watch like high fantasies. I'm like, light a torch, open a window,
Yep.
talk during the day.
Yeah. And with a lot of video encoding nowadays, a lot of data is used for like the mid ranges. When you start to get you start to see in lower resolution video really crunchy blacks, just disgusting, and it's so noticeable, especially on I guess on anything. I was going to say on LED panels because the blacks are so deep, and if the LEDs are even just a little bit on, trying to show 0.1% of black. Excuse me. But no, it's true of LCD too. Really, just anything digital. It just struggles.
Yeah.
Yeah, just light your scenes.
Because it's like, please, you work so hard on the sets, the costumes, the makeup. Why are you gonna turn all the lights off so no one can see it?
Like, yeah, we get the realism, but come on. Yes, it's dark in the cave. You know that. I know that. The seagulls crapping on my deck know that.
Yeah.
Why don't we just light a torch? I agree.
You mean we have magic and we can't even use it to just like...
Ugh. There's a spell for that.
There has to be. That has to be like the first spell that anyone would do. It's light is the hello world of magic.
No, apparently it's making things levitate. That seems advanced. Right? Like, that shouldn't be the first thing you learn.
Yeah.
That seems really advanced.
Yeah,
kids are blowing feathers up.
Yeah, I think that kind of stuff, that's the equivalent of like learning the bounds of a box to get a ball to bounce off the walls of something. Like, that's got to be second semester at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not first lesson.
Maybe, make a light. Maybe create water. That seems important.
Survival,
yeah. Because apparently the magic world's super dangerous.
And yet they don't use pencils.
I can't help them with that. It takes place more or less in current era.
Yeah, wizards would be so easy to bully.
Yeah.
Like, if you walk up to them and snap their wand, what are they going to do to you?
Exactly.
And I'm sure people are like, well, they have like nonverbal magic. And I'm like, doesn't matter.
you gotta be really good in order to do that.
Yeah.
Like, really good. Yeah, well, okay. Now I'm just thinking about how much I hate the Fantastic Beast movies. So now I'm just getting angry.
Bad. They're so bad.
I hate them so much. I hate them so much.
That is one thing where I'm like, no, you did owe the audience something.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot tell me this billion-dollar franchise couldn't have hired a single person to be like, hey, let's check the logistics on this. Let's check the timelines. Let's check the established lore. No, we're just gonna run pants around our ankles and hope for the best. Just pissing on everything.
And not only that, but even if you forget completely about all the Harry Potter films, let's say that they came out in a vacuum. I really, really despise the tone of them. I despise Newt Scamander as a character. I'm not a big Eddie Redmayne fan to begin with, but
I respect that.
But the character, Newt Scamander. Newt Scamander is his name.
Yes.
And he deals with fantastic beasts. Newt Scamander. Look, there's some bullshit names in the Harry Potter universe, but this one takes the cake.
More so than Xenophilius Lovegood.
What does that one? That one doesn't mean anything. What's his job? What's his occupation? Who cares? You can't. There's not a mapping. Is he a prostitute? No. So Lovegood doesn't matter. Newt Scamander. And he works with goddamn animals. Well, you couldn't have come up with. So his name sucks. I hate his name. Look. Let's think about why we're watching these films, okay? Why are we watching Fantastic Beasts and where to find them? I don't know about you, but I'm watching them because I rather enjoyed the Harry Potter films. And then to have nothing of importance happen in any of these films. We're going to bring Dumbledore back in the second one, but he's young now. Oh, that's interesting. Dumbledore was one of the most interesting characters in the entire universe, and I'll bet you he has a really cool backstory. I wonder if we'll learn about that.
No,
he shows up for like 10 minutes altogether.
But that's what the third one's for. The third one's called The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it actually?
Yes.
Shut up.
No, it's real.
I'm going to call you on this one. There's no way. There's no way
called
someone sat down, opened up a program and typed Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, The Secrets of Dumbledore.
It's what it's called.
Fantastic Beasts 3. God damn it. No. Oh, they get Johnny Depp back?
No, they're bringing in Mads Mikkelsen.
He would have done a better job anyway.
Yeah.
I was so blue-balled by the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens, right? But not in an interesting way like the seventh Harry Potter. Nothing happens in it.
No. Because my gripe with the second is we end the first one with Jacob the Muggleborn having his memory wiped. And I'm like, that's fair. He saw way too much. He needs to just go about his life. Mm-hmm. But then they just reverse that in the second one. And they reverse it. So all of the emotional investment we had in his character and his growth and that result completely out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but it feels weird that a wizard named Goldstein would side with Wizard Hitler.
Well, I mean, that's just weird. Well, not if you think about the author of the universe. But when you think about goblins as bankers, what do you think J.K. Rowling was trying to say about that? No, okay. Well, okay. All right. Again. maybe they figured it out. Maybe that's why number 3 has such a slap your face, finger blasting title, like The Secrets of Dumbledore. I cannot believe that's what it's called. But maybe they've figured it out. Maybe they've realized that nobody, I hope that what I'm about to say is true. I hope that humanity has a reverence for good storytelling to the point where what I say is true to the absolute. Nobody cares about Newt Scamander and his stupid little friends. Nobody. Okay? I hope that's true. It's probably not, much to my dismay and sadness, but I hope it's true. Dumbledore and his relationship with the evil wizard, is interesting because he loves him, right? Is that canon? Okay. B.
Well, that'll be a thing, but get to your B.
Okay. I feel like that's already widely known, even if it hasn't been actually said yet. B. It's just interesting to see this character that we know have these formative moments. I'm in a sublist now, and B, fight this big fight because he is the most powerful wizard in the world. All right, back to the original list. C, the entirety, all 8 Harry Potter films, all of them, except the 4th one. The 4th one's the weakest one. I will fight you. That's a whole separate thing. They all deal with fighting a powerful dark wizard that is intimately connected with the main character. So to see how Dumbledore, Harry's protector, gets to that point mentally, right? He's reliving what he had to do with Dumbledore, or with Grindelwald, essentially. Why was he not the main character in a spin-off prequel? Why did we have to invent a new main character? Why does Newt Scamander exist?
Because he wrote the book. We name-dropped him in the first Harry Potter book.
Did?
Yeah. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is one of the required readings for first-year students, I think.
Oh, I could not care.
But no, I agree. I think Dumbledore should have been the main character because despite all of the nonsense that J.K. Rowling's gotten herself into, the enduring thing about Harry Potter that I have loved is that Dumbledore was kind of making it up as he went along.
Mm-hmm.
Trusted authority figures being found out as being fallible and human is one of the best things you can do in a book for children.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, the fact that we have this opportunity and we're not using it is so bad because you could set up everything across those 3 movies. You could have had the whole first movie be about Dumbledore not seeing Grindelwald for who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then the whole second movie is dealing with that fallout for the third movie to be, no, I'm going to do it right this time. I don't care that I love him.
Oh my god. Imagine giving the most interesting character in your universe a redemption arc where nobody wins. I could only get so hard. Why did they do that? I'm upset.
Know.
I'm upset.
I don't know. Because the other part is, J.K. Rowling said, I don't know, in 2007 or whatever, that Dumbledore was gay. That was it. That was the only thing they ever did with it. And she has had 2 chances, because she's writing these movies herself. She's had 2 chances.
Oh, it is her fault.
To have Dumbledore say, oh yeah, the reason I keep hesitating and sending other people to do this is because I love him. No.
I'm very unhappy. I don't like this. They really need to mop up this whimsical crap with Newt Scamander. I need a dark, Newtless Fantastic Beasts film. Well, already you're screwed because it's called Fantastic Beasts, and as you've mentioned, that's the book he wrote. But he shouldn't have been the...
So yeah, we have this whole wizard Hitler problem. I'm going to send a magic zookeeper and his pet platypus to deal with the problem.
I hope they die. I hope that's it. That Grindelwald kills them, and that's the catalyst. How Dumbledore realizes, oh, yikes, wait a minute. I hope that's what they do, and they don't make a fourth, and Newt Scamander has a point, and that would be pretty cool. Not great, but it would be an admirable thing to do. Do the admirable thing, J.K. Rowling, because that's what you're known for. Do the admirable thing and kill Newt Scamander and his muggle friend and everything in that suitcase. Well, not everything in the suitcase. That's, well, what should happen to the animals if she does indeed kill off Newt Poopy Face? What should happen to the animals? They should be let free.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's the 1920s. You're gonna have to deal with like magical illegal pet trade.
Oh yeah, it's another thing. The 1920s. What a stupid era to set this in. Oh my god.
Like, I thought it could have been cool. There were so many things that I'm like, this could have been cool. Because my thing with the first one is I thought Ezra Miller's character was Colin Farrell's character's son. And through, like, because he was magic or because it was illegitimate or whatever, he, like, sequestered the child in this creepy orphanage so he wouldn't have to deal with him. Because that's how I interpreted all of, like, Colin Farrell's weird hugs to Ezra Miller's character, is I thought it was just because he was his dad and he didn't know how to interact with him.
Oh, yeah, very interesting parallels to Voldemort you just drew there, huh? Very interesting, very interesting. Imagine if it was just history repeating itself and they had some kind of cyclical narrative that could have tied everything together. Very interesting that you bring that up, Lauren.
Yeah.
Would have been a smart thing to do.
Imagine having Colin Farrell looking super cool and then just having him melt into Johnny Depp.
Yeah, that's a shame. Because Colin Farrell's very cool. I like Colin Farrell.
He is, yeah. He looks super unrecognizable in the Batman because he's playing the Penguin, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting casting choice.
Looking like a Sopranos knockoff, honestly. It's great.
Nice.
Oh, man. I knew at the bottom of this pile there'd be more Harry Potter.
Always is. I mean, you start talking about sequels, you can't get away from large universes.
Yeah. I don't think people our age will ever be truly free. It's written on our DNA.
Yeah, and that's fine. They were good films.
They were formative, and again, like we said earlier, we've all learned from them, and we're going to write better stories where zoologists are not responsible for taking down.
Yeah, and again, it's large universes like this, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like the Harry Potter universe, they are good movies. They are not cinematic masterpieces, but they don't need to be. They are good 3.5-star films.
I have come to appreciate 3.5 stars as a rating.
Yeah.
I've even come to appreciate like 3 out of 5 as a rating. It's not bad.
Yeah.
Watchability matters. And if you have fun, that's cool too.
One of the things that just upsets me to no end, when you're rating something, be it I think the most extreme example is Lyft and Uber drivers, right? Mm-hmm. If they didn't hold a gun to your head, that's a 5-star rating. If you give them a 4-star rating, you're a dick. That seems abusive of the 5th star, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems...
It's
like you see someone with a 4.8 star rating and you're like, what did they do? Nothing. It's 4.8 stars. That's immaculate. But every driver has that or better. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what's the point of the rating system? Anyway, go ahead.
Well, no, because it's like with stuff like that, there's just like a more immediate consequence. Like if you need Uber money and someone gives you like 3 stars and that pulls it down even just to a 4 or just below, like then you start missing out on rides.
I suppose. I feel, but it still doesn't change the fact that the understood delineation of what star scale means is fundamentally broken.
Oh, absolutely.
3 and 4-star drivers should be great drivers. 5-star drivers are the ones with like the little chocolates in the back with the water and that talks to you and is hilarious. 5-star drivers, should be like professional drivers. 3 and 4-star drivers should be 100% acceptable. Not going above and beyond, but still doing very good job. And
getting where you need to go.
And what is understood to be 5 stars today.
Yes. C's get degrees.
Indeed.
3 stars get you to the airport.
Exactly.
And you can go straight to the airport with tonight's sponsor.
Indeed, you can't. Well, it's fitting that we're talking about, reboots and whatnot, because this episode of Steaming Pile is brought to you by the newly rebranded Shark Tank. But it's not the popular show on ABC where entrepreneurs pitch their ideas to a group of wealthy business owners. No. This is the show where you get a chance to pitch to a group of sharks as they eat you alive. If you can convince them that you're not tasty enough, they'll let you live. If not, then the sharks will just eat you alive on television. And it can all be streamed live to your phone. All proceeds go to shark conservation and the sharks. Actually, I'm not sure how that works. But if you have a better idea, then you can pitch them that and maybe still get eaten alive on Shark Tank.
Nice. I think fans of Squid Game will really enjoy Shark Tank.
Just another show I need to watch. It's on my list. It's high up on the list.
Yeah,
I need to get through it.
Yeah.
I picked the longest shows to get through. I'm like straddling 4 right now. I just need to.
Oh wow.
I'll be done with Ted Lasso soon, so Squid Game will take its place.
Oh yeah, Ted Lasso's good.
Ted Lasso's very good.
Nice. Yeah.
The 2nd season just ended, so I need to catch up on that. But
Succession
I'm almost done
just
with the
started season 3 yesterday, so that's what I gotta start checking in on.
So much content.
So much.
And yet we keep talking about Harry Potter. We're the problem.
It's the curse. That is the cursed child.
Oh yeah, there's that. Oh.
That doesn't count.
End the podcast. I don't want to think about it.
That's it. We knew that pile of garbage would be at the bottom of this steaming pile. This has been another episode of Steaming Pile with Lauren and Tucker. I've been Lauren. And we'll see you all next time.